Welcome back to the AI News, where we cover the biggest developments in artificial intelligence and what they actually mean. So, today's story isn't about a brand new AI model or the latest benchmark. It's about a real person. So, Codo Cristo is a 35-year-old founder who was one of the healthiest person you could imagine. He was suddenly diagnosed with a rare and aggressive cancer affecting roughly 1 in 420,000 people. During his treatment, he used Claude AI not to replace his doctors, but to organize medical research, analyze scans, understand complex reports, and prepare better questions for his medical team. The result is a fascinating story about where AI is already making a real world impact, while also reminding us that these tools work best alongside experienced healthcare professionals, not instead of them. So here's what happened. This article, it shows the fittest founder in the room got cancer, and here's how he used AI to fight back. So scrolling down here, so Kono Cristo, he doesn't leave things to chance. He tracks his sleep with a Whoop band, cross-references it with an Aura ring, and gets nearly 100 biomarkers checked every year. He has been doing the actual blood work also for 4 consecutive years, following the protocols of longevity researchers like Peter Attia and Rhonda Patrick. He was optimizing his supplements, his circadian rhythm, his protein intake. At just 35, he was building his second company. He was as dialed in on the latest in health research as anyone he knew. His last checkup in 2025 was green across the board. It was the best I'd had in years, he says. Then, after a workout, his arm swelled. He didn't think much of it at first. A week passed before he saw a doctor who found 2 blood clots in his veins and scheduled surgery. But the pre-op exams changed everything. A doctor walked back into the room and told him the procedure wasn't happening. We see an 11 by 11 by 8 centimeter mass behind your sternum, the doctor said. So also a biopsy confirmed that Crystal had never before even contemplated. He had an aggressive, fast-growing form of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, a rare diagnosis affecting roughly 1 in 420,000 people, caused by a random genetic mutation with no connection to lifestyle, diet, or stress. The tumor had only existed for about 3 months. In 3 more weeks, it would have reached stage 4. Lucky is my unluckiness. Christo told this editor this week from his home in Athens, where he lives part-time. It was only found because I went in for something else entirely. What followed was an education in the limits of the medical system and in what a determined patient can do about that with tools now available. Now, his first oncologist, a renowned specialist, recommended the lighter of 2 available chemotherapy regimens. Christo booked his first infusion 3 days out. Then the night before, he sought a second opinion. Now, the second doctor didn't hesitate. He recommended the harder regimen, continuous in-hospital infusion, cycling every 3 weeks across 6 months, citing Christo's specific pathology. Now, the lighter treatment, however, carried roughly a 60% success rate for his presentation. The aggressive one brought that number to around 85%. 2 world-class doctors, diametrically opposite recommendations. Now, Sisto says that as founders, we hold the wheel. He says of the propensity of many people to accept what they are told and why more should not. You hear many things. You don't have to follow the first advice. Now, he didn't opt to just follow the advice of the second physician either. Over the next 2 days, he gathered 12 opinions in totals, drawing on his professional network, reaching out to hematologists and oncologists in the US and abroad, calling in every favor he could. 11 to 1 voted in favor of the harder path. He took it. The decision, he says, didn't feel brave so much as logical. He was already a data driven person, and now the stakes felt existential to him. Now, over 6 months of treatment, Christo approached chemotherapy the way he approached building a company, as a marathon of sprints, each of them with a finite cycle and each week filled with data points. He had done a mandatory 25-month military service in Cyprus at age 18, and he also borrowed from that experience too. So he was going to be a good soldier, he told himself. Trust the process, 6 cycles, get through it. Now, he wore his whoop throughout and found it remarkably accurate at predicting the days his immune system would bottom out, sometimes flagging them before symptoms arrived. He kept also a symptom journal using voice transcription, logging every shift, every side effect, every medication, and counter medication. He also narrowed his focus to 3 variables: sleep, nutrition, and first and foremost, psychology. It moves the needle more than anything, said Christo. I never asked why me, not once. That question has no useful answer. He fed all of it: blood results, scan data, wearable output, journal entries into Claude AI. He is far from alone in turning to chatbots for medical guidance. Even a public opinion poll also released in March that third of American adults now use them for health information and advice. Even the stories accumulating online suggest that for some patients, AI is delivering what the system couldn't. Now, even experts, they urge caution because Daniel Bitterman, clinical lead for data science and AI at Mass Journal Brigham, has told the New York Times in recent months that journal purpose chatbots are frequently wrong and have not been truly evaluated for personalized diagnosis. Christo doesn't disagree. It didn't replace the doctors, he says, but AI helped me ask the right questions. And also, for a condition that is rare as his, one an oncologist might see once a year, access to a model that has absorbed the full body of medical literature was, he says, simply not the same as Google search. The model proved critical at the end of the treatment. His final PET scan, the imaging used to detect active diseases, came back ambiguous. The thing is that the harder regimen chemotherapy was done of 6 months, which had 85% success rate, and then the MRI was done, and after that a PET scanning was there that he did. Now, in the PET scanning, it still showed that there were cancer cells. Okay. Now, then what happened is that his oncologist, they began discussing a second line of therapy, which is the radiotherapy will happen near his heart and lungs. And that was an alarming development. Christo again did his homework. He read that for this specific lipoma, the false positive rate on end of treatment PET scan is around 60%, a statistic that still astonishes him. It's 2006, he says, 60%. Now, then what he did, he fed all 3 of his PET scans and his MRI into Claude, which flagged something that is easily overlooked. So Claude, what did it said? So it said that for patients under 40 who are recovering after chemotherapy and after cancer, there's an organ which is called the thymus gland and can reactivate after chemotherapy. So thymus gland is actually an organ which produces white blood cells after the body is under major stress, like after chemotherapy, after some serious disease, thymus gland activates. And the thymus clad imaging in PET scan and also the cancer cell in PET scan, those are similar, that you cannot identify it. So actually the thing is that AI said that it might be that thymus gland instead of the cancer cell in his PET scan, his last PET scan. And given his age and his specific scan characteristics, the AI put the probability of that explanation at roughly 90%. Now then, he went to three more doctors. The fourth doctor confirmed it that it was a thymus rebound, so there was no active disease. So after going to three doctors, the fourth doctor confirmed it that it was a thymus rebound. It was that organ which is producing the immunity cells, which is the same as the active disease, like the cancer cells, and there is no cancer cell anymore. There is no active disease anymore. And so that is why no radiotherapy was needed. He was clear. And then Crystal is still kind of unfolding what the last year has meant for his health, how he works, and how he thinks about time. He built also Caragon, his current company, before any of this happened. It's an AI powered platform that helps medical practices automate their administrative operations. And also, but going through the system as a patient has given him some new perspective. He also watched nurses and doctors buried under tasks that had nothing to do with care. He also received the same chemotherapy protocol as an 80-year-old woman. He also takes Sunday off now mostly. He tries to be present and lunch with friends, at home with his dog, even in conversations that might have once felt like a distraction from work. Even also his friend also told him something years ago that he said he kept replaying during treatment, that be happy now. He says it's among the hardest thing to do, and yet he finally appreciates its performance. So this story isn't proof that AI can cure cancer, and it's also not a reason to replace doctors with chatbots. Now, what it does show is that AI is becoming a powerful tool for patients, helping them understand complex medical information, organize their records, explore medical literature, and ask better questions during some of the most important conversations of their life. As AI continues to improve, stories like this may become more common. The future of healthcare may not be doctor versus AI, it may be doctors and patients using AI together to make better informed decisions. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest breakthroughs in artificial intelligence. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.